Good afternoon. This is meteorologist DT from WXRS.com with the Snowstorm Podcast for Wednesday afternoon, January 31st. The entire month of January is almost already gone. Anybody get a chance to see the blue moon eclipse early this morning? Pretty impressive. Uh, so let's get right to it and see what's going on. I remain not impressed with the pattern. And unless you live in the mountains, the next couple of weeks in the Northeast, this is not a snowy pattern at all. A lot of problems here, and we're going to get to them. So we'll start out taking a look here with slide number 2. Here's the snowstorm matrix, and you can see next 3 days in the short term, only a minor event in the interior. That's the one coming in February 1st and 2nd over the interior Northeast. A minor snow event, the green, you can see that there. And then the day 4, 5, and 6, nothing going on. Another interior event, day 4, 5, and 6, Super Bowl Sunday in the interior Northeast. It's going to be rain for Richmond, for Philly, for DC, to Baltimore, for New England. For southern New England, everybody. No cold air for that event. And then 7th, 8th, and 9th, some minor events in the Midwest and Ohio Valley, and maybe for the Northeast, and again, the interior Northeast. So not a great looking pattern here. Now, if you go back and take a look at the previous podcasts, there are a bunch of snow nuts and weenies who obviously are very angry with me because I'm not forecasting huge amounts of snow for their back porch where they live in their mommy's basement. That's fine. If you want to hear nonsense or fantasy, there's lots of other snowstorm podcasts you can go to. If you want facts and reality, I'm your guy. So let's get right to it. Here's the upper air pattern for January 31st. And it's still a Pacific dominated pattern, as you can see. There are some changes here. It's a little colder than it was, but not a great pattern overall. And the upper air atmospheric teleconnections are not favorable. We still have our Pacific jet coming in this way. Nice polar vortex pretty far to the north. We have blocking developing up here in the Bering Sea, which is nice. If this feature ever gets out of the way, this upper low in the Gulf of Alaska, the problem is that this is an omega block, and you can see because it's shaped like the letter omega. So there's a big upper low here and then one here, and that's preventing a connection here. So it's going to take a while before you get the cold air coming southward. The really heart of the cold air. There'll be shots of cold air, but not a big sustained Arctic outbreak. So that's part of the problem with the pattern. Now, this next, let's start talking about February 1st and 2nd. This here is the system coming through. The purple line represents the 850 millibar temperatures. That's 1 mile above the ground. So that's where the precipitation has to be. It's got to be colder than that for the precipitation to even form as snow. Now, of course, from 1 mile above the ground down to the ground, the temperatures have to be 32 degrees, or maybe 33, all the way to the ground. And that's not what we're having here. This is Thursday evening, 10 p.m. Now, this is the evening time, so temperatures should be falling. So all the precipitation north of the purple line could be snow. So this, if you look at this, you're saying, oh, well, maybe that's snow in Roanoke and snow in Kentucky and northeast Tennessee, West Virginia, some light snow in, D.C., Baltimore, Philly, that sort of thing. But the 32-degree line is way up here. So that indicates temperatures are not very cold. And that's part of the issue. Now, here's the next slide. This is Friday morning. Now, the cold front's already pushed through, and you can see the purple line has moved to the south, but Richmond is still above 32 degrees even Friday morning. There's just not a lot of cold air coming in behind this system, so as a result, it's it's mostly rain. Temperatures. This is this GFS, which is usually colder than the European at this time frame. The upper left is 10 o'clock Thursday night. Richmond's 48 degrees. Really? DC's 45. Roanoke is 40, Charlottesville's 40, Eastern Tennessee's in the upper 40s, Philly's 40, New York City's 39. Now, if you go down to the bottom right image here, this is Friday morning. Okay, Richmond is still 39 degrees. Norfolk's 42. Now, it's cold. It's much colder behind the front. Behind the front, this is Arctic air. Don't get me wrong. Charlottesville down to 22 already. So is Roanoke. DC's falling rapidly, but not until after the front blows through and after precipitation. This is primarily a rain event. Will it end as snow? I would be really surprised. I just don't see that happening. Maybe, but I just don't see it. And then beyond this event, let's take a look at this. The next one is February 4th and 5th, Super Bowl Sunday. Let's take a look at this event. Now, both models, GFS, European, these are the 500 millibar maps. Now, the key feature here is this piece of energy right here in the southern jet stream, right here. Both models have it. Very good agreement here. The model, you can see the northern jet coming south, providing the cold air, so that's good, but it doesn't come very far to the south. And that's part of what the problem is. Now, next slide, this is 96 hours. Again, strong model agreement. There's our southern piece of energy right here. Here's the northern piece. Southern piece, the European GFS northern piece here. So again, very good model agreement. There's our strong polar vortex. We're getting some cold air coming in south now, getting some strong Arctic flow coming in this way. That's nice to see. But the problem is over here. There's no 50-50 low. The NEO is in the positive phase. So what's going to happen is this system is going to come up the coast, and that's going to be the problem. We need to get the cold air in here first, not after the event comes through. Here is the enlargement of the GFS here at 120 hours. The vorticity, you can see the two short waves merging now. A nice system here, but there's nothing. The NEO here, as you can see, is strongly positive. You can see that right here. There's no 50-50 low. So this thing's going to come right up the coast, and that's not what you want to see. We don't have the cold air in place, and it's just not a great pattern for the coastal areas, I-95. The mountains is great. And this here is the European, same sort of thing. The cold air comes in behind it. Very strong Arctic flow behind the system. Again, you can see it. And there's the short wave. This is very hostile. Positive, look at that. A big upper lower green on positive NEO. And if we take a look at the actual conditions here, surface map, this is the GFS 99 hours. This is Friday morning, 11 a.m., Super Bowl Sunday. The purple line is the rain snow line at 850 millibars. So all of this in Tennessee and North Carolina, this is all rain, obviously. This is all rain in here. Now, this could be snow. Probably is over Kentucky, temperature 32, 33 degrees. Maybe in Southwest Virginia it's snowing. Okay, and maybe it starts off as snow in Richmond and DC, but doesn't last very long. This is 7 o'clock Sunday evening. And the rain snow line, the 0850 line is now north of DC, north of Philly, north of Charlottesville, north into West Virginia. This is all rain for Virginia, Sunday afternoon and evening. This is just rain. I'm sorry, it's rain. North Carolina, rain, heavy rain. Rain. What can I tell you? Now, this is probably snow up in here, West Virginia, Kentucky, mountains of West Virginia, western Maryland, central Pennsylvania. But it's gone over to rain in Philly. It's about to go over to rain in New York City. Nothing to get excited about. I mean, really. And then this here is, okay, let's look at the European. This here is the GFS. Okay, I have to clear out the images. That's why it's not advancing. This here is 114 hours. This is 1 o'clock Monday morning after the Super Bowl. Big low pressure over downtown Norfolk. Yes, I say it now the correct way to say it. You're supposed to say it in Virginia, Norfolk. There's the low. Right over. Now, this is a good snowstorm. And maybe it's all snow in the Shenandoah Valley. It could be if a little shift to the east. Shenandoah Valley could get slammed. The Western Virginia is going to get slammed. Western Maryland, but look at the rain snow line. It's north of New York City. It's north of Allentown on the GFS. The low is on the coast. It's too far inland. There's no cold high to the north. The upper air patterns suck. What can I tell you? Not excited, not impressed at all. Now, here's the European. Okay, this is Sunday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Super Bowl Sunday. And this is the rain snow line right in here. You can see it. North of D.C., north of Richmond, north of Roanoke, north in Tennessee. So maybe, and the 32-degree line is way up to the north. So this might be mixed in here. I don't know, 33, 34 degrees. But this is all rain. Richmond, rain. Greensboro, Raleigh, rain. Can I tell you, it's going to rain. It's just not a good pattern. And then this is 10 o'clock Sunday night. Again, almost the same time as the GFS. Look where the low is. Now, the low is not quite over Norfolk, but it's over Hatteras, and it's inland. Inland of Hatteras, so you can see, maybe over Fayetteville. And the rain snow line is like this. So, central, maybe Allentown's all snow. This could be a good snow for the Poconos and maybe Lehigh Valley. Maybe. Shenandoah Valley could be going back over to snow here. That's a possibility. Yes. But for Richmond, for Raleigh, for Greensboro, Raleigh, Farmville, Charlottesville, D.C., Baltimore, Philly, this is all rain. Cursed be its name. Now let's take a look at why this is not working out for us here. Well, first we look at our teleconnections here. The P&A, that's pretty good. We ought to see that. That's nice and positive. That means a big ridge over the west coast bringing in the cold air. But the NAO is positive. That's not good. That means no blocking in eastern Canada. The EPO is negative. That means a good, and that also enhances the ridge over western Canada. But the NAO here is not very good for East Coast snowstorms. And if we look at our other teleconnections here, Now this is from Weather Bell, and we can look at this individually in more detail. Here's the Arctic oscillation. We're looking at the green here. We want to focus on the mean. It's neutral. Then after February 9th, it goes negative. So that's a good sign. We want to see that. But the NAO here is positive, and it goes neutral a little bit by the middle of the month. But this is not great to see, not at all. But still, the Arctic oscillation, that's a step in the right direction. Now this is the PNA, strongly positive. You can see it getting stronger as the ridge develops on the west coast, so that's nice. And the EPO is negative through the period, so that's nice. Okay, good. We want to see that, and we want to see that. So that's good, but that NAO is a problem. It's killing us, folks. It's just killing us. Now, if we go, there's another event even beyond this. This is the one for February. Let me close out. Yeah, here we go. February 8th. Now, the European has this, another short wave coming in. But as you can see, the upper pattern is not set. Huge positive NAO right here. Polar vortex very far to the north. We don't have any blocking, no 50-50 low over southeastern Canada. So this short wave is going to generate low pressure, and it's going to come up the coast again. Probably inland. I don't see any reason why it won't. Here's the GFS. It's doing the same sort of thing. It's got a nice short wave here. This is the 12Z run of the GFS ensemble right here. It should generate low pressure like this, but for some reason the GFS operational run doesn't have that. Well, let's just show you. This is the GFS and here's the GFS operational run, and it's got the system on February 7th, which makes no sense at all. As you can see, the short wave is on February 8th, so I'm not sure what exactly the operational GFS is doing, but even this is rain for a lot of the Northeast, even probably New York City, New Jersey. And then maybe Boston is snow or rain mixed here. The 32-degree line is way inland. It's just not a great pattern. Maybe that's snow in New England. I don't know yet. It's too early to know for certain. Now, if you look at the 6Z and the 0Z GFS, it was substantially different. You can see it had the rain snow line. The precipitation is further north, further to the south, but all again, it's way too warm for a significant snow event over Virginia or North Carolina or Kentucky or West Virginia. Maybe interior West Virginia, Pennsylvania. This is all snow in here. This was the 6Z run. This is all rain, and the snow line is way up in here. Maybe it's snow in Shenandoah, interior Northeast, Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, Lancaster. Not a big deal, but maybe. The European is less impressive. Here's the 12Z European. Look at the rain snow. Oh my gosh, look at this thing. Rain snow line. The 850 line is here. The 32-degree line is way here. So this is all rain, 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 rain. And here it is on the evening of February 7th. And again, this is all rain in central and eastern North Carolina, Virginia, up towards New York City, New Jersey, Philly. I wish I could bring you better news than this. Now let's talk about the MJO. It's now in phase 6. But there are major changes in the MJO, which is not good if you like winter weather on the eastern United States. And we'll talk about that. Now, this was the projections earlier from the previous podcast. You could see it moving strongly into phase 7 and into phase 8. And what that does is that produces this sort of stormy pattern. When the MJO is in phase 8 in the month of February, it produces the pattern where it shows strong blocking over Greenland and then a big low pressure area over the Mid-Atlantic region, which is the snowstorm pattern for the MJO in February. And this is what it looks like when you have the La Nina. I should show it here. Yeah, La Nina, February 8, February phase 8. Again, same sort of thing, blocking, strong low pressure on the coast, what have you. And this is what it looks like in phase 1. Okay, so, but the problem is these are the changes. What's happening here is the MJO is breaking down. These models show the MJO making a sharp turn when it gets into phase 8, moving into the neutral circle. Here, and here, and here. This is not good. And what this means is that it may not stay in phase 8 and phase 1. So if that's true, that means you don't get that, and you don't get this, and you don't get this. That's why that's important. And we can see the changes already showing up. The GFS a couple of days ago, I think it was on the 29th, had this big, massive Arctic outbreak. Everybody was all excited. Ooh, the big Arctic outbreak is coming, which is fine. And there's the GFS was showing it. The GFS ensembles were showing it as well. This is the one on January 29th for mid-February. Here's the Arctic outbreak, which, again, I thought was going to happen. I'm not saying I didn't. But now the new GFS, vastly different. It's detecting the change in the MJO, I think. And it's the GFS ensemble has the Arctic air well to the north. You can see it mid-February here. And this is also true with the European. Day 10, all this, it's cold in the northeast of February 10th. Nothing extreme though, and all the extreme stuff is way up here. And if we look even beyond that, and then 11 to 15 day on the GFS, again, the cold air way to the north. Much of the country looks pretty mild by mid-February. So in summary, neither one of these events, the one February 4th, February 8th, looks particularly promising. The Arctic outbreak for mid-February looks like it's falling apart. The MJO is not going to hold in phase 8 or phase 1. According to the latest data, maybe that'll change. It could. And if it does, that'll make things more promising. But right now, February, I'm not looking that impressive with February. I'm not. So, we'll see what happens. This is meteorologist DT from Weather Risk. I'll see you on the Facebook page and on the Twitter page.